Storyblocks Audio. Storyblocks Audio. Storyblocks Audio. Storyblocks Audio.
So I go through this 90-day series every 90 days. Let me try to explain this as simple as possible. How many have gotten to a point in your life, whether you was in a cell, in a hospital, at a bar, or just somewhere in an open field, just thinking to yourself, man, I gotta change. Who's ever got there before? Anybody? I mean, you're just like laying down at bed, just anywhere, in a cell, or after being locked up again. Remember, Chavaria? And wondering to yourself, man, something has to change. Anybody ever been there? Okay. If I were to ask you, when you got there, let's pretend like you're there. Everybody, just think about that for a minute. You know what? I need to change. There's something has to change. So here's the question for you. What has to change? Think about that for a minute. What has to change? In your mind, you know something needs to change. But I'm asking you, what needs to change? And the reason I ask that is because when I got there in my life, I started asking that, well, what can I change? Is it possible for me to even change? And what am I going to change? Who's going to help me change? Who do I ask? Who do I turn to? Is it God? Is it my friends? Is it my mom? How? Where do I start? And these are the questions that I started asking myself, and I started searching for answers. For me, it started in a prison library, in a prison chapel, in a prison church. That's where it started for me. And I started looking for answers. And in the last 20-something years, 28 years now, I've been on a mission to figure that question out. What and where do I start? And what I teach in here is the answers I found. I tell you where to start and what to start with. There's certain keys that we learn. Who's ever played basketball? Anybody ever played basketball in here? You ever played basketball? Okay, I don't know too much about basketball. They used to call me Mexican Shaq in prison. I'm just saying. Because all I can do is stay under the pain and go this way and this way. They told me just stay right there and you just get the ball when I said I can do that. But what I learned is, let me explain. Because when I wanted to exercise, I was in prison. I said, I need to start exercising because all I did was read and learn. Just want to read and learn. And I said, I better get outside. But I didn't just want to go walk around. I wanted to do something. But I went outside with the guys, and the black brothers, they were the good players. But they wouldn't let me play because I was no good. I didn't know how to play. But then one brother said, you know what? I'll teach you how to play, man. So we started playing. And then I started running back and forth. Man, I said, how do you play this game? This is insane. I ran out of breath. And my brother said, no. No, I say, you don't understand. You're too big to be running around like this. You know who Shaq is? And I knew who Shaq is, right? I didn't know how to play basketball, but I knew who Shaq is. He says, I said, yeah. He says, you need to do what he does. He says, tonight they have a game. I want you to watch what he does. All he does is stand under here and put the ball in. That's all he does. And so then, my point is, they started teaching me some basics. You with me? Some basics. Just you stay here. There's a layup. Boom. Just basic stuff. And what I'm trying to explain to you is that no matter what part in life you're trying to change, in business, in work, at school, right? You're in school right now, Craig. You're learning all these things. You didn't start where you are now. You started with these basics. The idea that if you learn the basics, and if you get good at the basics, and I found out that if you can't get good at the basics, you're not going to get good at all. You can't skip the basics. And so then what I'm trying to show you is the basics of life change, success, and overcoming in life. And these are the basics. You're going to need, number one, you're going to have to want to change your life. Desire. Number two, you're going to need some faith. Not only in yourself, but in God and in others. The process. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. The mindset, how you think, is the key ingredient to life change. Let me repeat that. It's the key ingredient to life change. If you don't change this, in fact, today's lesson is called Change Your Thinking, You Change Your Life. That's today's message. This is the key ingredient. We're right now, we're on a 4 sessions of just this one alone. Your attitude, you have to change it. Goes hand in hand with mindset. There's some habits you're going to have to let go of, right? Would you all agree? And then there are going to be some habits that you're going to have to develop. Remember, I'm giving you the basics of life change. Your lifestyle. There's some things you just got to stop doing. There's some new things you're going to have to start doing. And because all this is so important, I mean, and the result of all this is, well, results. And in here, I teach that results is the name of the game. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter what you tell me, right? 12 people signed to come today, but only one showed up. It doesn't matter what you tell me. All that matters is what you do. This is the kind of stuff that you learn in here. And once you understand these keys, then you'll start catching yourself. You'll start, okay, I get it. And we're going to learn a few things tonight. So y'all got that? The process of change. I call it the process of change. So tonight I want to talk about changing your thinking, change your life. Change your thinking, change your life. Right now we're in a key number 3 in this 90-day series that we go through. So let's talk about this for a minute. Our thoughts. Let's talk about, anybody have any questions before I get started? No questions? Because we have a mic right here. You can ask questions. Don't be afraid. We're going to interact today. I'm going to ask you, you're going to have to say something today, Johnny. I'm going to try to interact today. So we're going to talk about mindsets today. So let's get right into this. Our thoughts, we learned last week, shape our beliefs, our actions, and ultimately our lives. That's how powerful our thoughts are. I never understood this. The way, a shift in mindset, a shift in how you think is the first step in real lasting change. The fact that you came here today, well, we'll get there in a minute. So in other words, your mindset is kind of like the lens through which you view the world. You're like this, watching, just watching. And depending on what you have in that lens, is how you see the world. The lens is kind of like the mind. You're watching. So then let's start with this. There's something called fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Do you have that picture, Aldi? Why don't you show that picture? There's something called fixed mindset. And by the way, guys, what I'm sharing with you is this is super. I mean, this is heavy duty stuff. I'm not just put this together just to see what I can. No. I'm telling you, this is it. No matter in marriage, in finances, in business, in life change, in your Christian walk, this is it. You want to make more money? Everything lies on this right here. A fixed mindset is something that you're fixed. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset avoids challenges. In other words, your mind says, no, that's too hard. I'm not going to try it. No, I don't want to do that. Because you're already used to just pushing away. A growth mindset embraces challenges. Like the things you're going to learn today, the things I'm challenging you with today, you're either going to avoid them and say, that guy's crazy, that's too much. Or you're going to say, you know what? Maybe I'll learn something here. You see how that works? The mind? Either a growth mindset. So if you say, you know what? I'm going to come next week. Maybe this guy has something going on. That's a growth mindset. You come to church, you listen to a sermon, you say, nah, man, I've heard this before. You avoid challenges. Or you say, you know what? Maybe there's something here. You see the difference? It's a mindset. Let's look at another one. A fixed mindset ignores criticism. Or you get mad, or you use your anger. A growth mindset learns from feedback and criticism. In other words, someone tells you something, your boss tells you something, and you don't like it. Instead of getting mad and all worked up, well, maybe you can get mad and all worked up, but then go and say, okay, what can I learn from this? That's what I'm trying to help you understand. You have to start learning to use your mind in a different way, not just give up. Well, in fact, there's one that says give up too. Growth mindset keeps trying and never gives up. Person that keeps trying and never gives up, he has a growth mindset, as opposed to the person that what? Easily gives up. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Let me give you some situations. Learning a new skill, like what's happening today. You come to this class for the first time. Most people have no idea what we teach in here, unless you're here. And so the situation is you've come to learn something new. A fixed mindset says, I'll never be good enough for this. I'll never learn. A growth mindset will say, I can improve with practice. Can you see the difference? It's a different. In other words, it has to do with attitude. These two kind of go together. You have to start learning to think differently. That's what I'm trying to help you understand. And that we all already have a certain mindset. And the reason, if I don't tell you this, if I don't explain this to you, then we just walk around in life, we don't even realize. We're just making decisions automatically because your mind is already set. And if you don't keep practicing, here's what happens. You just go right back outside and that and and, and you just go slip right into your old mindset. And you just cruise along. This is why this stuff is so important. This is why I tell people, give me 90 days of your time. This is why I tell people, keep coming to church, keep coming, start reading the Bible, start reading a proverb a day. The reason I start people doing that is so that you can start gaining some traction into renewing your mind, which is the whole idea here. So start renewing our mind. The Bible says, be not conformed to this world, or be not conformed to the way you used to think, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what we're always trying to do. I'm still trying to do it in many areas of my life. It's an ongoing thing if you want to grow, if you want to change, if you want to be better. So do you have any questions here? No questions? Okay, we're going to get to a point where you're going to have to say something. Think about this for a minute. Here's another thought for you. And this is really simple stuff. You are not your past. You can be your past if you want. You can stay in the past if you want, but you're not your past. You're not what you were told when you were growing up. You're not that person that your mind is telling you. Let me explain to you. My mind used to tell me this. You're just a loser. You're a loser drug addict. You're a loser father. You're a loser husband. And you'll never amount to anything. That's what my mind used to tell me. Now, here's the kicker. The problem is that it was true. You're with me? So how do you change that? That's heavy duty stuff. How do you change it? Let me tell you how. You force it. Because your mind, Tony, is always going to tell you where you come from. It's always going to go back there. Always. Because it's been going on for so long. You, again, if you want to change your life, you have a sincere desire. Your job is to start fighting against it. Pushing it back. Pushing it back. Pushing it back. Eventually, it gets easier. I always share in this room my favorite, one of my first mentors, my favorite mentor, Rocky Balboa. In his famous movie where he told his son, it's not about how hard you can hit. You know, I remember in prison, we thought we were bad. Remember, Chavaria? It's not about how hard you can hit. Remember, it's a mindset. It's about how hard you could get hit and keep on going. How hard you can fall and keep getting up. That's what it's about. And if you keep doing that, you're going to win. That's just how it is. It's a mindset. So I started fighting against that mindset. I started saying, no, I'm going to change my life. The Bible says I am more than a conqueror. The Bible tells me I can do anything if I set my mind to it. The Bible said all things are what? Possible. How? I don't know. It's not up to me to know. And so then, like my wife says when she shares her testimony, she waited year after year after year after year, hoping against hope that the God of heaven, the God we believed in, would somehow come down and help me. And he did. And I forced myself to believe in something that I couldn't see. Again, that's where faith comes in. And I just kept on believing it. Kept on. Before I knew it, I psyched myself out. I believed it. I'm going to change my life. Going to the top. I'm telling you, this is how it works. I used to think God did all the work. I really used to think that. God, when are you going to do it? All along, he was doing it. But see, because God doesn't do it all. Especially men like us, Tony. And I hope you don't mind me using it as an example. Because we already crossed the line so far. It's like we're numb. We're numb. It's a miracle that I even caught your attention. But I broke free, Tony. I literally broke free. Because I wanted it so bad. Did I want to give up? Yeah. Did I fall flat on my face? You better believe it. Did it seem like I wouldn't make it? Yeah. Was it hard? You better believe it. Like I told you in the meetings. If you're looking for easy, might as well quit now. Right, Craig? There is no easy way. But I tell people all the time, I wasn't looking for easy. I was looking for possible. And God offers that. Possibilities. Yeah. And this is what I clinged on to. I clinged. So let's talk about some action steps you can take. Because every action begins with a thought. Let me give you an example. If you say, kind of like what I started with, I'm tired of living this way. What would be the what feeling is that? That's a frustration and exhaustion, maybe a little bit of hope. You're saying, man, I'm tired of living this way. What feeling is that? It's a feeling of frustration and exhaustion. What action can you take? Sign up for a class. And here you are. What result do you think can happen? You begin a new chapter in life. It all starts with a thought. Man, the mind is powerful. Here's another thought. Maybe a thought runs across your mind and says, man, I can't do this. What kind of feeling is that? It's fear and anxiety. Man, I can't do this. I've been there. Here's an action you can take. You can avoid it and give up. It's an action. But if you do that, what's the result? You stay stuck in the same old place. When I got this revelation that it was all that if it was to be, it was gonna have to be up to me. That if my life was gonna change, that I had to figure it out. I'm telling you, because hundreds and hundreds of people walk through this room, through our church. I don't know how many thousands have come. They're looking for something. but they think God's going to do it all. I have news for you. God already did his part. And what I learned is that now it's my responsibility to learn to do my part. That's what I found out. Here's another thought for you. I wonder if I can get better. It's a thought. That's a feeling of curiosity and a slight hope. Like, I wonder if my life can really change. What action can you take? Start asking for advice. Start seeking mentors. That's how you came here, right, Johnny? And what would be the result of that? You gain new knowledge and encouragement. See, it all starts with a thought. And you start just unfolding these things. So let's discuss something for a minute as we close. Here's a question for you. And help me out here. Now that you've learned, now that I taught you a few things on mindset, what kind of mindset did you grow up with? Well, what kind of mindset has affected the choices you've made in your life? Can anybody think about that for a minute? I already told you a few of mine. When I told you that earlier, that I said, my mind would tell me you're just a loser. That's what keep me using in the streets. I already messed up anyway. It's already 12 midnight. Didn't matter. I already spent all my money. Ni modo. If I don't get home at all, it didn't matter. That kind of mindset is what kept me going. What kind of mindset that you have, grow up with? Maybe some people, this was my pastor. He said he had his mother told him that he was worthless and she wished he was never born. I mean, he grew up with a very, very, very serious mindset of hatred and anger and rejection. What kind of mindset did you grow up with? Anybody want to help me out here? That has affected your choices in life. Johnny?
I would say kind of like a pastor, growing up angry and accepting it. That was going to be my lifestyle. And if anybody had an issue with it, I just didn't care. I just already be this negative person.
And you
Yeah. I just accepted my life as it was. Not too long, honestly. Probably last year. I barely started changing my mindset. About like when I was about 13 years old. So I'd carry that. I would say no, yeah, no. I would say probably because my parents weren't there. They were alcoholics themselves. So yeah, nobody being there for myself. So I had to grow up fast where I was from because I'm from Illinois. So different environment, but me having to grow up fast gave me this mentality that nobody's gonna be there, and they carried a yes.
because it's a negative mindset. Anybody else? You really good experience.
Yes. You. So my mindset, and I can go back 6, 7, 8. I felt rejected, dejected, felt like an outcast, an outsider, even in my own family. I was the youngest. So my mom treated me with kid gloves. So she kept me away from danger, but it kind of stifled. So I didn't really uh, grow up uh, uh, normally because I was just sheltered, and it didn't help that when I was 8 years old, I was hit by a car, so that scared my mom, and so she kept me underneath. Yes, even more. So a lot of stuff that people would that learned when they were like 5, 6, or 7, like riding a bicycle, or and 16 learning to ride a car. I never did any of that because my mom kept me sheltered, but because I felt rejected and an outcast, I was already trying to find a place where I belong. So I was a people pleaser because I wanted to make people uh, like me, and so I hung out with my friends that wanted to take advantage of me. So that was my mindset for the longest time until it affected me years later when I was married. That I was very passive in my marriage, and my now ex-wife, she ended up just having her male friends on the side, and until she decided she was done with me. So and that was when I was like, I can't. That was I think like one of the final times where like I can't do this anymore. I've already lost everything. I lost my wife, I lost my kids, and I lost my home. I was back at my mom's house. So and that's when like I had to just give up doing it my way and learn to do it God's way and this way. So this actually took, yes. Oh yes. So there were many different points in my life where I had attempted, and it was that point where like that was gonna be it. I wasn't gonna be either I found the answers or I was gonna end it. And I even tried what the world told me. So like, get drunk. So I went with my family like, hey, I'm gonna get drunk, and they're like, no, you're not, because they already knew that I didn't drink before, so they were trying to protect me. But they were drinking, so to me it didn't make sense. Like, why can you drink and I can't? And I go, okay, well, I'll go back to the mental institution. And I said back because I've been there a few times before. They said there was no room for me. They couldn't help me. I tried brujeria, and the woman I went to, she just kind of like looked down on me like, you're not gonna understand this, not knowing that I grew up with that in my home already. I was like, no, what the heck? No one wants me. But God showed me like, no, I want you. I want you to come back. So yeah, from being even in my sin when I was like, I need something, I was being rejected by everything else, but because God was calling me back home. So that's a little bit of my story.
The lonely, the depressed. That's interesting that the Bible teaches that. Huh. I wonder why. Hey, something to think about. The lonely, the depressed, the outcast. The people that everybody least wants. God says, I can use you. That was powerful. I think about that. I say, wow, that's pretty powerful. Otherwise, we'd have no hope. Anybody else want to give it a kind of mindset that you grew up with? Somebody want to get a shot? No? Okay. Because I already know what kind of mindset you grew up with.
So, Michael, I grew up with parents who pretty much spent a lot of time sewing into me, telling me that I could do whatever I need to do. I could, but what they didn't tell me is that there was consequences for wrong choices. man owed him something because I was smart. I'm alcohol at an early age, and that created a lot of problems for me. So had they told me that, yeah, we love you, but we're not going to enable you, I think that would have definitely helped me a lot as a man, because it took me becoming to learning a lot of these lessons that most learn earlier in life.
Temperament.
Correct.
In both situations, no matter if you're or you grew up all messed, our choice makes the difference.
It shows that environment doesn't guarantee success.
Change. The or how
Yeah, you just made a really valid point there, which is it shows that, contrary to people think, environment doesn't guarantee success. Because if you don't have the right mindset that's focused on God, you're still going to make poor choices, even if you have people that love you, even if you have people that encourage you, even if you grow in environments that are conducive to you being successful. If you yourself aren't given the correct tools and taught the right principles rooted in Christ as a child, you don't have anything to fall back on, because you're relying on yourself, your own ability, and you're expecting the world just to give you handouts. So that was my case. And I knew Christ at a young age, but I made choices that I wanted to make that were opposed to what my parents taught me. And I reaped what I sowed, as the Bible says.
want to give it a try? Women, you can give it a try too. Because it's powerful. How we grow up. Because what I was going to share a little while ago when you were sharing, Johnny, is that we can use our past, good or bad, as or let's say our failures of the past, we can use them for two things. We can use them as an excuse to say, well, that's just how I've been. I'll never change. So you can use it as an excuse to continue failing. Or you can use it as a reason, the same mistakes, the same rejection, the same past, you can use it to say, you know what? I'm going to change my life. You can use it as a reason to succeed. And I love that illustration that I heard one day. I read it in a book about the two. I read it somewhere. I don't remember, about the two guys that were very successful. Two black men. One was a very successful business owner. The other one was a bum in the streets. So they interviewed the very successful black man, and they wanted to know how he became so successful. What motivated him? He said, "My father." He said he was an alcoholic and a bum, and I promised myself I'm not ever going to be that. And a lot of other things. They interviewed the bum, which was the twin brother of the successful person. And they asked him the same questions. Hey, why did you become a bum? What happened to you? You know what he said? Anybody want to guess? My father. My father was a bum and an alcoholic. What else could I do? Can you see the difference? You can use your past or your past failures or your lack of a father or your lack of growing up or your lack of whatever as an excuse to keep on failing, or is a reason to succeed. This is how this stuff works. It's a mindset. But anybody have any questions here? I'm going to pass around the donation bucket. I brought my donation today. ¿Verdad? as we're passing around this bucket, let me just, if you haven't, anybody have nothing to say, let me give you one more question, so we can take this home with you. We're talking about change your mind, changing your thinking changes your life. Remember, we're just talking about this part right here. We still have, and you can also go to donatectc.com. You can go to Cash App. You can always help us out in all those ways as well. Yes, sir. Okay, one more thing to say. Thank you, Carlin.
Some also is that sin seems like freedom until you try to leave your sin. Honestly, that's what I came across in my everything that I've been learning from the beginning I came here to now. Like, you're not gonna get nowhere with the same mindset, mentality, everything you're saying. All the steps that I've gone through that you taught me, it's the truth. The key steps to no, no, no. The like after straight after New Year's, so January. Yeah. So January. So we're in April now. We're gonna be in May. So 5 months. Yes, sir.
It's interesting you put it that way. In the Bible, es que what gets us in trouble is really selfishness. We want to do things, we want to do whatever we want to do, period. And so then the Bible teaches us that sin, doing anything that's against God, sin, that the way that there's two ways to live. The broad way, right? The Bible said there's broad is the way and wide is the gate that leads where? To destruction. It leads to destruction. Not only to hell, to destruction. Destruction in your life, destruction in your marriage, destruction in your finances, destruction in your destruction. Doing whatever you want to do. What seems fun, right? It's destruction. It doesn't matter how you slice it. But the other route is what? It's narrow. In other words, yeah, well, here we go again. We have to discipline. We have to come to church. We have to read our Bible. And just part of stuff to help you grow. I can't go to the bar. I have to do this. You have to change the mindset. Personally, me and my family, we live in church. This is our life. This is what we do. This is it. This is what I do. Everything I do, everything we do, we plan, it revolves around choose a change, church, our family. That's what it revolves around. And I like it. I like it. When I was a drug addict, everything revolved around drinking and drugging and going out. And that's what it revolved around. Oh, a little bit of family. And then drinking and drugging. Y'all with me? It has to change if you want to change your life. So here's the last question. What one mindset can you think about right now? Oh, where is it? It dropped down. Here it is. No, that wasn't it. Where is it? Válgame Dios. Here you go. What one belief about yourself do you think needs to change? If you don't want to answer it right now, that's fine, but I want you to take it with you. What belief about yourself do you think needs to change? Kind of like what I started with. What has to change? What belief about yourself do you think has to change? Maybe some of you think, you know what? I've tried before. I always fail. Some lady told me that one time. I've tried, I've already tried. And I always fail. It's a belief she held. I always fail. You have to change it. Here's a good one for you so you can think about it. Because this stops a lot of people. We don't admit it, but this is a mindset that I used to have. I don't want to change. I don't.
So one that you talked about the voices. So it's one that keeps coming back to me is I'm not good enough, or I'm not doing enough because I've sinned. What do they call it? Like survivor's guilt. So like you're thinking like, if I only did this, if I only did that, so that that would somebody still holds me back sometimes. Like, well, I don't think I'm doing enough. I think I should do more. And so sometimes it's like, well, I mean, if I don't do enough, then why should I even try? So, but it's one that I fight with.
Yeah. Chavaria. Guys, that's all I have tonight. I appreciate you guys coming. Come next week. No. Next week, we will have no class. Let me tell you why. Because we have a conference next week in our church. So all week long, there's going to be a conference here. It's exciting. If you can make it, every night, 7 p.m. Every night, 7 p.m. Are you on the monitor, Tony? Okay. Yeah. The 8th is okay. Who's your parole officer? Okay. Well, what's that? Okay. Then yeah, next week we'll see you on what, the 8th, you said? What is that? Oh, in 2 weeks? All right. Just make sure you tell your parole officers so they can open up your time. Perfect. Tell her you'll be coming here. All right. Well, all right, guys. That's all I have. Thank you for coming. We'll see you in 2 weeks. God bless you.